Welcome back to the Sports Complex on a Wednesday afternoon, but it is a short week Wednesday, so we are giving our picks for all of our games today. We'll talk some more Texas versus Texas Tech. The line jumping back up to 14. Whoever was betting on Texas Tech, maybe the money's swinging back to Texas now. Get you into a bunch of polls today. I want to talk to you guys today. It is a big thankful day right here, the day before Thanksgiving. We'll make our college football picks, some big games, give you some notes about those. We'll give you some sound from Hook 'em Up with Ian Rod B that we do every single day. We try and get you some sound from Hook 'em Up as well. We'll get you over and get some NFL talk as well because this is the last show of the week for us. Little Texas basketball, Texas men and women's in action over the break. So a lot of good stuff coming for you. And Jerry Hamilton was on with Ian Robbie this morning as well. And Hook 'em Up will play that interview as well. Lots to pack in to a Wednesday/Friday/ this is the end of the week for us show as we get into exciting Thursday and Thanksgiving and one of the best sports holidays. I think we can say that. As much as Thanksgiving is losing in a lot of other characters and qualities that they may not be Thanksgiving may not be the best holiday for a lot of people. It's a lot of eating, basically. You can eat and drink, but not everybody. It's not, if you don't really like turkey, then it's probably not your favorite. I'm not a pie guy, so I've never gotten into that stuff, that part of the Thanksgiving holiday. But it's, sports-wise, you got basketball going full tilt right now. You got football, important games, rivalry games happening in college. The NFL, you got 4 days of football now because they're playing on Thanksgiving. They moved the Thursday night football to Friday nights. You get games on Sunday and Monday. You get all that. College basketball, it's feast week. Lots of good games happening. We saw already today, we got to see Kansas versus Tennessee. We already got to see that game today. It may be the best sports holiday. It's possibly the best sports holiday just by the selection of what you get to see. And it's a very good one. I do want to ask you guys, because I had a few conversations and I want to know what your Thanksgiving traditions are, because when I've talked to people of mine, I feel like most people just kind of feel their Thanksgiving tradition is the Thanksgiving tradition. Like that's what everybody does. This is Thanksgiving and we just do this. But, and mine is pretty simple. I just go see the family and we hang out, we eat. So I don't think I have anything that's that crazy. But if you have a Thanksgiving tradition, if you have a way you watch the game, if you got to eat before the game, if it's centralized around the Cowboys or something like that's in that, I want to know that. Put that on the text line. 512-447-3776 is the text line. If I didn't start with that, let you know. You guys drive the show. I just try to keep it on the rails. 512-447-3776. If you guys got a Thanksgiving tradition. And then I also want to know, we asked you kind of yet last week about what your favorite side was. I want to know if you have one favorite, you get one side, you get one entree, so you get one meat, one side, and one dessert. Give me that list. I want to see if you had a pick, if you just said, all right, I can only get one thing. What are you going to get for Thanksgiving? Put that in the text line too. 512-447-3776 is the text line number. Also, just a shout out to some friends who do the intro music for the Sports Complex. ADH Project. That band was a version of them to Heebie Jeebies that does the entrance music, but they still play this song, but they has words to it and they sing and great harmonies. They are going to be playing tomorrow night, Thanksgiving night, over at Seaboy's Heart and Soul down on South Congress. I'll be out there, so if you're not doing anything else on Thanksgiving, or you want to get away from the family, or whatever you want to do on Thanksgiving, you want to, you took an early nap and now you're up at night, you want to go out there, come on out and say hey, that they're going to be playing out there. I believe the Waters are playing with them, who are another amazing band, so it's going to be a fun night on Thanksgiving night out. I got to do family, then I go friends, and then I go out to go see some more friends playing music. It'll be a fun Thanksgiving, but come on out and see us. Well, you know what, and we'll mention again, we made the announcement yesterday, we'll tell you again about what time the Sports Complex is moving to in a couple weeks, but we still got time on that too. Let's talk some Texas football versus Texas Tech. The line is back up to 14 points. It'll be senior night for Texas. They're going up against a Texas Tech team that this seems, on paper, like a game that Texas should be able to handle. This seems like a game that Texas, if they go and play their style of football, Texas Tech wants to run the football. That's what Texas Tech wants to do. They want to run the football on Texas. They want to be able to run the football with Taj Brooks. I was telling you yesterday about how well he's run. The first couple of games, he didn't play much. After the first couple of games, Taj Brooks started to step up. He's only not hit 100 yards in one game since the first couple. That was 98. He only had 17 carries. He still averaged close to 6 yards a carry in that game. They just got behind against Kansas, and he didn't run as much. But this is a Texas defense that has stopped the run. So for Texas Tech, they may have to try and throw the ball. If you're Texas, you need to be able to cover it. You need to be able to go. You did it better against Iowa State. You did the bend but don't break. You need to play that same kind of defense against Texas Tech. Make them that they want to be a running offense. Make them to where they have to throw. And when they do, try and get those interceptions and try and get pressure on a young quarterback. That would be a great way to try and get this team and get Texas the right direction. As for the offense, it has been a little bit stagnant. It hasn't looked great. I think you're going up against a Tech team you should be able to get some yards on the ground. Hopefully, Quinn Ewers is another week healthier. He's going to be at home. The weather seems like it's going to be just fine and dandy, and he'll be able to get out there and get some good plays. I'm hoping that this will be a great Quinn Ewers game as well to show off and give a big support to the seniors, because this is senior night for Texas as well. And it's something that kind of looking into this game and looking at this team right now, when you look at the difference of why I'm more confident in this game against Texas Tech than I've probably been in 5 to 10 years, if not longer. Why I'm more confident in this Texas team is because of the leadership of this team, because of what this team has been put through. And the guys that have stuck around, the guys that are still playing, what those guys can do, that's the reason why I'm a little bit more confident than I have been in years past playing Texas Tech. I think this is a better team, but I think the seniors, I think the guys who have been through it, I think the guys who saw what was happening before with Tom Herman, the guys that saw, that it wasn't necessarily working the perfect way. And, maybe there was positives, but there wasn't. We can make fun of the P chart still. We can do those things. And I like Tom Herman. He was always a nice guy to me, but I thought there was some lacking issues in this Texas program that Sark has gone a long way to correct. And those seniors that have stuck around, and to see that and then watch what they've turned into, and to see the guys that have really cleaned up, and so a lot of these guys have cleaned up what they were doing, where they were good players but maybe a little bit sporadic, and they were good players last year, but they maybe weren't the leaders they needed to be. And Bijan and Roshan laying that path for this Texas team to go forward, where we can say, I personally really feel Sam Ehlinger kind of took on so much of that leadership, and the coaching staff and everybody else kind of put everything on Ehlinger, that it was not as much, it doesn't seem like it was as much of a team leadership, and nothing against Sam, because Sam's the man, but I think there was something where this team maybe has a little bit more of a team leadership, that a lot of these seniors feel like they're part of this leadership, and they're getting the juniors, and they're getting the sophomores, and they're getting the freshmen involved in it. Sark talked about some of the guys on Monday, and I want to play a little bit of sound talking about some of the guys that stayed, because he was asked, because it is the senior game, it's senior week, asking about Jaylan Ford. And here's what Sark had to say about Jaylan Ford and what he meant to this program, being able to stay and be a part of this.
Well, we didn't know a whole lot, he had played a little bit, but as we kind of grew as a program, and as he kind of grew, the playmaking ability continues to show up. Like, for some reason, it's this old thing in football, and you guys have all been covering it for enough to know, really good players are around the ball. They make tackles, they force fumbles, they recover fumbles, they get interceptions, they get sacks. And at the end of the year, it's maybe not always the numbers, but those plays always seem to happen at critical moments, right? They show up when you need those plays to happen. And that was something we had to learn about Jaylan as we went through year one. Naturally, in year two, it really started to show itself, and he continues to do it now. And I think now more than ever, his leadership has shown up. I mean, you could see him last Saturday night, I mean, he was in charge on the field of getting things lined up and making great checks, but yet it's 3rd and 1 and you see him stuff a running back in the hole and knock him back. And so it's all of that, right? It's all of that that's building up to Bert Auburn makes a kick at the end of the first half, and A.D. Mitchell, Jahdae Barron, Jalen Ford are out there celebrating with our kicker after a field goal at the end of the first half. So you talk about leadership too. Like, Jalen has a lot of things to him. He's not, you can't say he's just this. I think he is all of that. And all of those things take time to learn our way through, but what an invaluable player he's been for our program, especially over the last 2 years. Like, we would not be where we are today without Jalen Ford. And just what he represents, the way he goes about his business, the cerebral aspect of the game, the versatility of his game, the playmaking at critical moments, all those things add up to, we're obviously very fortunate to have had him.
Yeah, some good stuff about Jalen Ford on this, where we're getting to senior week and it's senior day on Friday. And another one that Sark was asked about is somebody that everybody talks about and everybody wants to see get the targets and everybody wants to see get his, and everybody's thrilled when he gets in the end zone. Jordan Whittington, what he's meant to this team and what he means to that wide receiver room, being a level-headed guy and how hard he's worked. When it's never a bad thing. And it can be a really, really great thing when you have somebody that will outwork anybody and will always make everybody try to get to their level. And, not everyone's going to follow, but when you show by example of how hard Jordan Whittington's worked and the injury problems he's had and how he's fought back and how he keeps getting in there and how he's been playing, and knock on wood that he's been looking great this year and healthy, everything you see about that, here's Sark talking about Jordan Whittington and his growth from a guy he saw come in when Sark took over 3 years ago to now Jordan Whittington being a senior.
I think Jordan has really, really matured. And he's probably a better guy to ask some of this to. But it's like anybody. When you're in college and you're younger in college, it's where are you placing the value of your time and your importance to what you're doing. And he was fighting through injuries. Well, why is he getting injured? What's going on? And how do you all the things that are happening. But for the last 2 years now, year and a half, this guy's the first guy in our building. And now another idea, talk about culture. Now he's got 6 or 7 other guys that are showing up as early as him or earlier than him. But he used to be the earliest guy by far to have maintenance on his body, to get his body right. He was always a selfless player because he knew the value of opportunity and reps, because he had to change positions. He had injury issues. And he'll fill you in on this if you ask him. But when he broke his collarbone against OU our first year here, he contemplated not playing football anymore, and I wouldn't let him not play football anymore. And because I just know you only get this one time. You don't get to say, hey, when I'm 40 or 50 like me, hey, I'm going to go back and play football. I think that was a pretty good deal. I should have done that more. Now's the time, and so you need to maximize that. And so just to see him grow through adversity, how to handle adversity, how now he helps other players on our team through some of their own adversity and what they have going on, the selflessness in which he plays the game, very rare. Very rare, but he's instilling in others, this is how to play the game, and this is how to be successful at this game, and this is how to be on a championship team. And I just think that he's grown, and he's grown into a voice of, I don't know, I talk a lot about whose locker room it is and different things. I don't know if there's another guy in our locker room who's more respected than Jordan Whittington. I think every guy in that locker room respects him to a point to where, man, if Jay Witt's doing it, that's probably what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I think he's earned that. And I think that, again, that's not because I make him a captain every week or things of that nature. It's who he is on a daily basis that has earned that respect of his teammates.
Some good stuff there, talking about Jay Witt and talking about this senior class and what it means for this senior class, what they've done for Texas football. And we know Bijan and Roschon were a big part of it last year. and really helping this team evolve. And now it feels like there's even more seniors this year that are really a huge part of evolving this team and getting them to where the point where they are the best team in the Big 12. And now they're ready to move on to bigger things in the SEC. That wouldn't be that case. And Sark can do all he wants, but these are guys a lot of these guys he didn't even recruit. Some of them are transfers in, the seniors that are going to get honored on Friday, but a lot of these guys were guys he didn't recruit, and he was able to come in and get a big play out of. And so today's big fat poll of the day is an easy one. Here on the text line, 512-447-3776.
Patrick's big fat poll of the day on the Horn.
Text line number 512-447-3776. Text you in. First one, real easy. Score predictions. Give us your score predictions for Texas versus Texas Tech. What do you think? Can Texas handle this game easily? Can Texas get the big win? Is it a close one? Does Tech pull the upset? Let us know on the text line 512-447-3776. Also, this one, I want to honor the seniors because they mean so much to this program, what they've brought. I want to ask you, what senior will you miss the most? And if you want to name a few seniors that you really appreciate, and put a reason, put a story or remember a play about that senior. I'd love to hear what your senior, remember the guys playing early or something like that. And I'm going to give you some senior names. So I'm going to help you out on the big fat poll by giving you some senior names so you can know who's a senior on this team, who Texas is probably losing next year. And they may lose some juniors too. We know that as well. But these are the seniors that have, and there's probably seniors that still have eligibility because of COVID rules and all that. But these are the seniors for Texas who are going to get honored on Friday. Ryan Watts, Keelan Robinson, Isaiah Nayor, Jalen Catalon, Jordan Whittington, Keaton Crawford, Jahdae Barron, Ryan Sanborn, Jaron Thompson, David Benda, Jalen Ford, Jett Bush, Christian Jones, Dorian Black, Devondre Sweat, Alfred Collins, Trill Carter, some guys who may not play a lot, but still on the team, Tannehill Love, Patrick Bayouth, Gus Asel, Paxton Anderson, and Gabriel Lozano, all guys that are seniors. A lot of those really good players. You think about Jay Witt, what he's meant to this team throughout, what Jalen Catalon has brought in that defense, what Keelan Robinson did to help out Texas, and he hasn't done a lot, but he's on special teams now and doing great on special teams. Ryan Watts playing the edge and playing on the side, playing the boundary cornerback. There's the words I'm looking for. What he's been able to do to help out a secondary that, just hasn't been able to progress in time that it needs. It hasn't been able to get there, and they're going to keep recruiting it well, but he's been a huge part of them being able to compete this year. Keaton Crawford at safety, Jahdae Barron are the big plays he's had. Even Ryan Sanborn with some of those punts. Jaron Thompson's had some huge interceptions. He got burned in that Alabama game, but that interception in that game changed the tide back and gave Texas the path to beating, and still to this point in the season, the best road win on any team's record is that win with Texas, and Jaron Thompson a big part of that. David Benda, just keeps having these big plays and what he means and his focus and determination to get better. Jalen Ford should have been Defensive Player of the Year for the Big 12 last year. So many crucial turnovers. You get Christian Jones on the offensive line. Alfred Collins, Trill Carter. What about Devondre Sweat? Devondre Sweat. Imagine this team this season without Devondre Sweat. Tell me, who you going to miss? But you can list a few. We're going to be nice and take a list a few. 512-447-3776. Projections for the game as well. We also got also throw in there your what your meals would be. If you had to meet one meat, one side, and one dessert, send that in as well for Thanksgiving as we get closer to Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving Eve. Appreciate you guys. I know we may have less texters today because a lot of people not on the road, a lot of people not working, a lot of people spending time with their family. So we appreciate the ones of you that are listening. We really do. Before we go to break, I do want to give you a little bit of college football. I'll tell you what, we'll do Friday's games, and then we'll talk a little bit about Friday's games. Then we'll do Saturday's games after the break, and we'll play some sound from Hook 'em Up with Ian Rob B. A couple games on Friday. TCU is at number 13, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a 10-point favorite, and we talked about this yesterday. Texas probably wants Oklahoma to win and have any shot to play them as a top 11, 12, 13 team in the country and get another big win if you can win there. Dylan Gabriel is questionable, though, Brent Venables seems like he's going to play, but OU seems like they're getting better on that defense. They got 3 turnovers last week. I think they were able to handle TCU, and they're going to play a good game of football to go take out TCU and try and get in to that Big 12 championship game. Iowa, number 17, Iowa is playing at Nebraska. You want Iowa to lose this game because you need the Big Ten to look worse and worse. Iowa's averaging 14 points per game their last 5 games. Nebraska is allowing 15 points per game the last 6 games. Nebraska needs one more win for a bowl win. One more win for Nebraska in the bowl game. If they can get that win, I think this Iowa team, they're very beat up. They've already clinched the Big Ten championship game. They may not be fully into it like Nebraska is. I think Nebraska wins this one. And I'll give you one more, and then we'll take a break. We'll come back to get to some of your texts, a couple more picks, and some hook 'em up sound. All that, or it's a busy show today. Huge one for Texas. Number 16, Oregon State at number 6, Oregon. Oregon is a 14-point favorite. It's at Oregon. They have been playing great this season. Oregon State has been playing good, but DJ Uiagalelei is not playing at the level that he needs to be playing at. Here's the stat that needs to happen for Oregon State to have a shot in this game, because Oregon's probably going to win. But if you want to see something that could possibly give the door open for Oregon to lose and Texas to get back into this playoff picture, Oregon State has 19 takeaways this season. That's a good number. 5 different players have 2 interceptions on them. You need Bo Nix to get too confident, try and get out there, and they get some interceptions. That's the only reason. The firepower is going to be on both sides, but Oregon has more of it. So you need some misfires if Oregon State's going to win that game. So keep an eye on that. I think Oregon wins it easily. They're playing really good football. Look, if Texas goes out there and handles Texas Tech, remember, Oregon beat Texas Tech earlier in the season. It'll be a shared opponent, and Oregon only beat Texas Tech by 8 points. So if Texas can win and cover 2 touchdowns, if they win by 3 touchdowns, it may mean something to the committee. I don't know. I don't know what the committee's looking for, but it may mean something to them. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more of your text. Big fat poll. What senior will you miss the most? You can name a few. Give me some moments. Give me a reason why you like that guy and why that's your guy, because I know you love all the seniors. Give me a reason why that's your dude. Put that one in there. Give me your score predictions for Texas Tech. Send that one in there as well. And if you got to pick a main course, a side, and a dessert for Thanksgiving, what is your pick? I'm going to see what our poll is. Let's see what we got going there on the Sports Complex in the Horn 1019, AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back on the Sports Complex here on the Horn. You know, we're the day before Thanksgiving. Let's have some fun, you know. I know some people are tired of Adam Sandler, but this is back in the day of when everybody still loved him and those CDs would come out and the sketches would be hilarious and we'd pass them around as young men and boys and whatever else. And I don't remember what age I was when they came out, but I know I enjoyed those. I know I enjoyed those records when they came out. Records. I'm not that old. Come on. Those CDs when they came out. I was playing some Thanksgiving music for you here on the Sports Complex. The text line is open, 512-447-3776. I know some of you guys, some people are off today and they're enjoying life and they may not be listening, but those who are, I appreciate you listening and jumping on the text line and joining the conversation. We're asking you, which senior will you miss the most? You can name a few. Tell me the reason, though. Give me the reason who you really love and who's your guy that's a senior that's going on. Give me a score prediction for Texas versus Texas Tech happening on Friday. And also, what's your meal? If it's for Thanksgiving, you get to pick one side, one main, and one dessert. What are you going with if you can go through the line once and pick one thing? What's your line? What you going for on Thanksgiving? I want to see what my listeners, see where we're at. We're going to get to those texts in a second. A couple more games I want to talk about from college football that are big games for Texas, especially on Saturday. Of course, the biggest game of the week is going to be number 2 Ohio State at Michigan. That is going to be number 3 Michigan. That is going to be a huge, huge game. This is a game where college football playoff, we're not quite sure if Michigan beats Ohio State, if they still want Michigan in there. We don't know, and I'm one of those people that is more on the edge of I want to see what it actually did before you go and just write him completely off. I get it's cheating, but everybody cheats like everybody is. And so I get it. But on the other end of it, I guarantee you Ohio State has cheated plenty, and they've gotten away with plenty of it, and you shouldn't have gotten caught. But to blame and to basically screw a bunch of kids out of a thing because you have a problem with Jim Harbaugh and because Ryan Day is a shady guy who wants to go behind the scenes and get whatever he wants, I don't believe. So if Michigan beats Ohio State, I don't think Ohio State should be in. Let's put it that way. I don't think Ohio State should make it into the college football playoff if they lose this game. If they're a one-loss team and they lost to a Michigan team and they beat a not great Penn State team and they beat a not great Notre Dame team and that's their 2 only games that mattered at all, I don't think they should get in. But if Ohio State beats Michigan, then they're definitely in. And in Michigan, I think, the question, they'll definitely drop them out. They're definitely gone because no one wants to play them right now and no one wants to put them in. So Michigan could, if Ohio State wins that game at Michigan, it's a huge, huge break for Texas. I still have Michigan winning this game. I think they're the more physical team. I think they're the tougher team. And I think, the reality of what it's going to come down to in my mind is Kyle McCord, we kind of know what he's going to be. He's an okay quarterback. He's not great. He's not bad. He's got amazing, amazing wide receivers. So he's getting bailed out of a lot of things. I think he'll play good. Can J.J. McCarthy, without Jim Harbaugh on the sideline, which he's not looked great the last 2 weeks because he'd not had his guy, Jim Harbaugh, without him on the sideline, can J.J. McCarthy still produce at that level? If J.J. McCarthy plays like J.J. McCarthy played for every game with Jim Harbaugh, without him on the sideline, Michigan wins this game. If he doesn't, it could go either way. But I right now have Michigan winning this game. I just think they're a better team. I don't have as much faith in Ohio State as a lot of other people do. And I know they're a good team. I just don't have as much faith in them because they haven't played anybody. And I know that doesn't mean that they're not good. It just I hate that teams don't schedule non-conference. They play in a bad conference that has a couple good teams, and they walk around like they're the best team in the league. I'm tired of Ryan Day. Let's just put it that way. I'm tired of Ryan Day and him acting like a victim right now. Tired of it. Another big game for Texas. Number 5, Florida State, 6.5-point favorite at Florida. It's at Florida. You're hoping. The problem is Graham Mertz from Florida. We know Jordan Travis got hurt last week, but the Florida quarterback Graham Mertz also got hurt. I won't say that's necessarily the worst thing. Tate Rodemaker is coming in for Florida State. He went 13 for 23 last week, 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, but that was against the South Alabama team. So who knows? He could have probably done that against a lot of teams. We'll see what he does against a better Florida team. Not a great Florida team, but a better one. Max Brown, the freshman coming in for Florida, he was 4 for 5, 56 yards and 42 yards running. Can the freshman not realize he's not supposed to win this game and upset Florida State? It's possible. It's possible. I think Florida State escapes because I just don't have any faith in Florida. But that's a big one to watch for Texas fans. I want to play the sound from Hook 'em Up with Ian Robbie. The text line's open. We're going to get to those in just 1 second. But I want to play this sound where Rod is breaking down what Texas Tech will probably try and do. It's a possibility. They're a run team, but they may break tendency against Texas. Hook 'em Up with Ian Robbie and playing a clip of it right now on the Sports Complex.
Let's get to some Texas Tech discussion. They have less range than Tom Hanks, but you know what? I will say that they have reinvented themselves like Tom Hanks likes to do, because now they're running the football more than ever. I cannot recall a Texas Tech team. Maybe when Tommy Tuberville was there. You remember when Tommy Tuberville took over for a while at Tech?
Senator Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
What a country.
Yeah, the same guy that broke up with Texas Tech at a recruiting dinner.
He didn't break up. The Irish goodbye'd him.
Yeah, he did. It was a breakup. He didn't tell them about it. They found out about it on TV. But anyway, that was probably the last time they ran the ball this much, guys. They've ran it at least 40 times in four of the last 6 games. They're running the football a lot, and they're not necessarily that effective, but Taj Brooks is the real deal. Taj Brooks averaging 5.4 yards per rush. He'll be in the conversation to be, I'm sure, not only the Doak Walker Award semifinalist, he might be a finalist.
For which one?
Taj Brooks.
Yes, yeah.
And he may end up, because of Jonathan Brooks' injury, on first team All Big 12 along with him and Ollie Gordon. It'll be a 3-horse race for the first team All Big 12 running back.
Yeah, I agree.
Ollie Gordon, could be Jay Brooks, could be Taj Brooks.
Yeah, all three. Well, those are your top 3 leading rushers in the Big 12 right
They're
now.
really good. And they all, I think, have their own statistical kind of separators for them. But they want to run the football, and he's their best player. They want to funnel usage to him via the running game. But as we know, that Texas, that's their defensive strength. I mean, they're one of the best rush defenses in the history of Texas football. You're talking about the 4th best rush defense in the Big 12 in the last 15 years. Since 2009, they held K-State a top 5 rushing attack with dual threat quarterbacks to their lowest rushing output in 10 years since 2014. They held Iowa State to 9 yards rushing. I just think handing off the football in a traditional running game against Texas is a fool's errand, but that is Texas Tech's new identity, and I think it's something they're doing out of necessity. I don't necessarily think they want to be this, but I always say life and football are constant struggles deciding between what you want to be and what you need to be in order to survive, and I think this is what they need to be in order to survive and win some games. Because the other route, because the injuries to their quarterbacks and with pass protection issues, it just wasn't winning games for them. They were scoring points, but they weren't winning games. Now they're scoring fewer points, but they're winning games. And Texas Tech's defense isn't bad. Now they're bad in certain areas, right? Third down defense, they're 107th. Sacks, they're like 100th, so they don't get to the quarterback very well. But scoring defense at 54th, and they're trying to play a more complementary brand of football. That's what them running the football, I think, is all about. And Sark says he likes some things about the defense. They do some interesting things. I think what he's referring to is the amount that they run simulated pressures, what we call sim pressure. This is something that worries me a little bit in this matchup because Texas had issues with sim pressure. You guys remember me talking about simulated pressure. That's when you make something look like a blitz, smell like a blitz, feel like a blitz, except it's not a blitz. It's going to be a 3 or 4 man pressure, but you make it feel and look like a blitz. Therefore, you can confuse the blocking schemes of the offensive line. They're expecting blitz. It's not blitz. And then you confuse their blocking schemes, and then you can get free rushers or potentially be able to apply more pressure that way. Now, and you still win the numbers advantage in the back end in the passing game, all right, with pass defense, but you end up, obviously making it look like you're going to blitz, and you force the offense to check to their hot read or their blitz protection or their blitz pass, and if they check and audible to whatever their hot read is going to be via the blitz, you can take away the first read, and that's how you make the quarterback hold on to the ball longer, and that is one of the benefits of running simulated pressure. They run simulated pressure at a top 10 rate among Power 5 teams. All right, that's a lot of simulated pressure. And they also, with the sim pressure, they'll run twists and stunts, not as much as they probably should, but those are the issues that gave Texas problems in the Rice game. Remember that early on in the season, Texas had issues with that. And if you combine that with amoeba fronts with every matter of fact, Iowa State did some of this early on in the first half, where everybody's lined up at the line of scrimmage, 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, all on the line, 2-point stance, 3-point stance, and you're gonna send 3 or 4 and drop the rest of the guys. Offensive line has no idea where the pressure's coming from and who's dropping and who's coming, and that's how you confuse the blocking schemes. Texas had a lot of issues with that late in the season last year versus Baylor. Baylor had more sacks than any other team against Texas in 2022 because of that. Combining those concepts, they had issues with Rice because Rice combined a lot of those concepts in pass protection. That to me would be something that could confuse the O-line, and that could become a problem for Texas in this matchup. I don't foresee it being a big issue, but it could, especially if you're not ahead of the chains. Now, if you're ahead of the chains and you're not in predictable passing situations, they won't have really an opportunity to deploy, all right, these combined concepts. But if you're in predictable passing situations, then they have a shot to do it. Just like Iowa State was able to do it early on in the first half against Texas. They got 4 sacks, and they were using some simulated pressure. They were using some amoeba fronts. So that would be the concern if you're looking at the matchup of the Texas offense versus the Tech defense. But other than that, Texas has the advantage in almost every way. And I think they had the advantage there too. It's just that is, if you were looking at something to be concerned about, considering what happened last week with the pass protection issues in the first half. Because think about it, Iowa State was 113th in pass rushing grade. They were not good at rushing the passer. That was not a strength of theirs. Yet they got 4 sacks in the first half versus Texas. Same thing with Tech. That is not a strength of their defense in terms of rushing the passer, but they can present some problems that Texas has struggled with in the past in pass protection.
Yeah, and against Iowa State with some confusing coverages, I think, and but that's why I give Sark and the staff, they made some adjustments. They also, on those 4 sacks, they got JT Sanders locked up on a defensive end a couple of times, which, that didn't go well for JT in pass pro. But either way, they sorted out, and those 4 sacks came early, and then when Quinn got hot late, once they started dumping it down, and as you documented it, behind the burnt orange curtain, those dialed up plays, those Sarks using their tendencies against them, helped create some explosive plays, and the Longhorns went on to score 26 points, and gosh, had two touchdowns called back, and could have had a lot more. But that's where the Longhorns are, and Texas Tech, so they're 6-5. They're going to be bowl eligible for Joey McGuire, and I think he's done a real nice job.
Getting better,
but I think even Joey McGuire would look at that and say, yeah, they're really better than us at every position. And they're at home. We're going to have to play a hell of a game.
And they got to roll the dice, right? They got to gamble a little bit. They got to break tendency. And that's why I don't think they're going to come in and run the ball 40 times. They got Behren Morton back. He's playing much better in November, completing over 71% of his passes in the month of November.
The Bear Raid.
Exactly. 7.5 yards per attempt. They're throwing it a little bit more now in November, too. 31 attempts. I think in this game, it's clear that Texas has issues, but they're susceptible and vulnerable via the pass defense, but not with their run defense. So I think they're going to come in here and throw to open up the run. And I think they're going to try to throw at Texas inside breaking routes, slants like Iowa State ran, right? Iowa State ran, I think, like close to 10 slants, completed a really high percentage of them. They're going to run a lot of slants. They're going to run a lot of bunch formation. And I think they're going to come out and throw against Texas. And they have wide receivers that are athletic and twitchy. And that's been a problem for Texas against teams like U of H, like Oklahoma, like TCU, because Miles Price, Jaron Bradley, they don't really have a number one wide receiver. Like Miles Price is the leading wide receiver, but I don't think he's an elite wide receiver by any stretch. But they got Miles Price, Jaron Bradley, Cody Eakin, Jordan Brown, Dre McCray, Xavier White. All these guys have at least 24 receptions. Miles Price the most with 43. They got a nice little competent, capable group of receivers that could give Texas problems on the outside if they go pass first.
Yeah, good stuff there from Hook 'em Up with Ian Rob B about what Texas Tech may do to try and change the momentum on Friday and try and shake things up. We know that Texas has seen a few times this year people throwing things at them that they hadn't done the rest of the year. Joey McGuire may have something up his sleeve that he's been saving all year just for Texas, that they know they've been planning for it. They may have that. We come back, we'll get to your text messages, 512-447-3776. I will reset what the questions are. If you got anything else you want to talk about, send that in on the text line. 512-447-3776 is the text line number, and we will get to your text when we come back here on the Sports Complex in the Horn 1019 AM 1260, the Horn app, hornfm.com. Back in the Sports Complex here on the Horn. Jam-packed show for you today on the Sports Complex on a Wednesday afternoon. We're off tomorrow. We're off Friday. Pre-game show will be Aaron and Rod, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Friday. So you get that as well. Text line's open. 512-447-3776 is the text line number. Send in those texts. We're asking you a few questions, some Thanksgiving questions. If you have any Thanksgiving traditions, maybe the Cowboys are involved in them. Maybe Longhorns used to be involved in them. Do you have any Thanksgiving traditions? Well, if you had to pick side, main course, and dessert, what are your picks for Thanksgiving? And then score predictions for Texas Tech. And because it is senior night, it is the last home game for these Texas Longhorn seniors. Which senior will you miss the most and why? Who's your guy? Why is he your guy? I know you love more of them. If you got a few of them, feel free to send those in as well. Let's get to the text line, though. I've put it off too long on the show already. 512-447-3776 is how you join the conversation. Texter says, Horn Radio ever come back to the TuneIn app? Yes, they're still working on it. It is insanely much harder. I've seen them working on it. There is a lot of people, and you're trying to go through, and you have to talk to one person to get to another person. It's ridiculously much harder than you would think it would be to get the things changed the way you needed to get them changed. But that is still being worked on actively. We'll get back on there soon enough. I don't know if the holiday's helping out, but we've been working on it. We are continuing to work on it, I promise to you. You can still listen to us, hornfm.com, the Horn app. You can still listen to us on a lot. I think it's still working on certain other wireless devices that you can ask to listen on there. But yes, we're working on getting you everywhere we can, continuing to give you the great local content here with Hook 'em Up and, of course, the Sports Complex. So I appreciate you listening. Dexter says, I do menudo and tamales. See, that's a Mexican fan. I love it. I need to bring tamales to the Thanksgiving dinner. I feel like that'll bring a little bit more. Just show up in any parking lot, and I'll probably be able to get some, right? It says the refs will control the game and determine Tech win, so OU and Texas can't get into last Big 12 football championship. I do not believe that will be the case. I don't think that the Big 12 is actively going to pull a heel move. I know the Big 12 championship is sponsored by WWE now, or they're partnered with WWE. It made me think Brett Yormark's coming out with a chair at it, but I think WWE would be just fine with Texas being a part of it too. But yeah, I do not see that happening. I think that's tongue-in-cheek. I think you're saying that's tongue-in-cheek because your final score prediction is 52-17 Texas. That is a big score there. Also saying that OU beats TCU 23-20. So some good scores there, but 52-17 Texas is a big win for Texas. I don't know if they're going to get 52 up. I'd say in the 30s is probably where I'd say Texas scores. I'd like to see them get to 40. But I think around the 30s is a pretty safe bet for what Texas scores in this game. We say, this texter says, big night for Jay-Witt tomorrow. I'm hoping, or Friday, yes, you're correct. And 42-20, the good guys. I'm hoping you're a Texas fan. 42-20. That sounds reasonable. Again, it depends. It depends if they're going to be able, if Barron Morton's going to be able to throw the football. If he goes out there and they just try and throw the football the whole game, they may put up some more points. If they just try and run this football, it could be a heavily dominant Texas run game, and you'd see a lot of Jaden Blue, and you're going to see a lot of C.J. Baxter. You may even see some Keelan Robinson, some Savion Red running the ball, because I think Texas will just try and hold on to it. They're going to throw the ball some too, but if they continue to get the ball, they're going to play ball control, I believe. But that is assuming that Texas Tech just tries to run and hits that defensive line that has been so good this year. My man, Chief Engineer, chiming in. You go ham, green bean casserole, and mashed potatoes, and gravy is a toss-up, and ice cream. The ice cream is good. I'm not a pie guy, so ice cream's okay with me. Your traditions: watch my wife and daughters argue over stupid crap after too much booze. Watch my son-in-laws act uncomfortable with that, and get just egg it all on while having a few drinks. I like that one. Your final score prediction: 34-28 Texas. A little bit closer. I'm hoping we hold Texas Tech under 28, but I like what you're saying. I get where you're saying it. I don't like it. I get what you're saying it. Sweat made the rest of the line get loose. Ford, captain of the D. Majors, O-line. First time getting a long time as a stout. Witt gets there. It gets the Hart Trophy. Yeah, Witt is definitely a fun button. I like San Marcos has a tougher schedule than Ohio State. Texas 34 Tech 20. Thanksgiving, not on a main dish guy. We like to double down on the sides. We'll play along a BBQ brisket, barbecue brisket, squash casserole, and pumpkin cheesecake. I don't know, but I've never tried the squash casserole. Also, with your seniors, tough one to pick, but really all have been here from the start, have their college careers, all because they could have left when things weren't going well. And I'll pick Jay Witt, just his overall leadership, very selfless player, and that doesn't get caught up in the stats. I think he's made this wide receiver room a much better room. We heard Sark talking about him earlier. I played that audio about how he was the first one to get there, and now there's 7 or 8 people that are trying to get there and beat him, and he's cultivating that. That's something that you have to cultivate, and it breeds organically. But Jay Witt being that guy, hopefully that continues on, and there will be guys that are younger guys that are now the guy who say, oh, no, I'm the first one there. I'm going to try and be the first one there. I'm going to try and beat everybody there. Hopefully that is what we get to. This texter says, your Michigan bias over Ohio State is ridiculous. Everything you said negative about Ohio State is true about Michigan. Really, man? This is the reality, is I think the whole cheating stuff, I get really annoyed when people are like, they cheated, they should be out in sports, when every team cheats in sports. I can't stand the hypocrisy in it, and I just don't like Ryan Day. I like Jim Harbaugh better. I think they're a tougher, better team, and I think that, Michigan at least scheduled Texas next year. I don't like either big team, quite frankly, but I genuinely do not like Ohio State. And I don't dislike the players as much as I don't think they're as good of a team, and they're just kind of getting backed in there because they're always good. But the Big Ten's down. They are just down this year. I appreciate you listening, though. I think that it is I in genuine, I don't have a dog in the fight. I just prefer if Ryan Day continued to lose this matchup, because it's much funnier for me if Ryan Day and Ohio State, who are spending all this money and doing everything they can to win and still can't win. It's just funny to me. It's just much funnier to me than Michigan winning and Ohio State, who's kind of the prep and supposed to be the good guys. Michigan's fought back. Look, the reality is Harbaugh's probably gone after this year anyway. Michigan's going to take a big hit, and they'll probably drop down a little bit following next year, but Ohio State's still going to be Ohio State. So I'm going to root for the team that I don't think is going to be good long term. Man, Chan says, a bunch of stuff here from Chan. Jay Witt's leadership will also be noted outside of the field. Love the kid. And so many, too many seniors to thank for helping this team stay intact, believing and growing. This is going to be like the Houston game. Texas 28, Tech 24. I'm hoping it doesn't look just like that. Again, the Houston team like to throw the ball a little bit more. Barrymore has just not been, they've not been throwing a lot of attempts so far, but they could be. This could be the game where they do it. We got to take a break before the hour. When we come back, we'll do more of your texts, 512-447-3776, and then we will get into some NFL talk as well. We still have some college basketball talk. The Horns, both men and women, are in action coming up. We'll get into that. We'll play his interview for Jerry Hamilton from this morning. Lots more great stuff here on the Sports Complex. And, of course, your text coming up on the Horn, 1019 AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Hour 2 here on the Sports Complex. Thanksgiving Eve, the Wednesday before. We're off Thursday. We're off Friday. Pre-game show will be 4 to 6 on Friday right here on The Horn with Aaron Hogan and Rob Baber. So you will get that. So you do have something to listen to on Friday to get you ready for Texas versus Texas Tech. Text line's rolling, 512-447-3776. Going to talk some NFL in this segment. We'll get into a little bit later some Texas basketball. Both men and women are playing coming up in the weekend. Before we get back on Monday, we'll get into an interview with Jerry Hamilton from Hook 'em Up this morning. And of course, more of your text. We'll get to your text on this Wednesday afternoon show of the Sports Complex. And, if you want to keep talking Texas football, you can always text in and we'll keep talking Texas football or college or whatever else. I appreciate the ones who are wishing me happy Thanksgiving. Average Joe, happy Thanksgiving to you. It says happy Thanksgiving, Patrick, and everybody at the Horn. Happy Thanksgiving back to you. Nate, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Appreciate you. WPI Parts Guy, I just know that Jay Witt is a dude. So much heart and so much talent. Gonna miss that dude. Changed my mind. UT 34, Texas Tech 20. I like that number. I think 20 is about right. Maybe a little less for Texas Tech. It depends on what they're able to do, but I think I like where you're at with that one. And you're still stuck on traffic. Tamales, brisket, margaritas. I like that dessert. The solid dessert choice, WPI Parts Guy. I mean, mine would probably just be beer and Jack Daniels. That's how I am. I'm a margarita guy, but I'm with you. I like that one. Do I know if the Fieldhouse, the crossover, is playing the game Friday night? I would assume they are. I do not know off the top of my head. I do not know, but I do. But yes, I like that one. And the WWE chair comment. That was literally the first thing I thought when I saw that, because they didn't say what they were doing. If you haven't seen, the WWE and the Big 12 are partnering, and basically they're making a belt for the outstanding player of the game in the Big 12 championship is going to get a title belt. That is a Big 12. They're making that specifically for them, so they're designing and making that. Then there's going to be WWE wrestlers around the event the whole weekend. There's going to be some special merch. Hopefully there'll be some Undertaker Longhorn merch. Well, maybe we'll get that. Maybe some Mark Henry. I don't know if Mark Henry's not with he's with AEW now, so maybe they won't. I don't know if they own him, or they own his rights to do anything. But hopefully we'll get some cool wrestler Texas merch. But they're going to do all of that. But the first thing I initially thought was Brett Yormark coming after our guys, and this is going to be a real heel turn. And we're getting the Montreal screw job, which was Survivor Series, which was Thanksgiving. It means it's all lining up, guys. I know too much wrestling. I know. But it's lining up. So watch out for the Big 12 championship when Texas makes it after they roll over Texas Tech. Come on. We're getting close to the end of the show. I got to be positive to get out of there. 3 musts for Thanksgiving: turkey, dressing, and pecan pie. And appreciate that you like the time change. If you have not heard, we are moving to 4 to 6 p.m. starting December 4th, Monday, December 4th. So we'll be regular time, 5 to 7 next week. And then the new time, that'll be ongoing, 4 to 6. Get you a new time slot. So I appreciate everybody who's been positive about that. We have a bunch of Texas Tech people coming to our tailgate, so we are serving mass quantities of shame and regret. Appreciate that text. Good stuff. Rye Guy from New Mexico. My top 3 Thanksgiving sides from all the way here in New Mexico are mashed potatoes with hatch, red chili, gravy, green bean casserole, and honey cornbread. I like that. That's good. I did all that. In 36-17 Texas, CJ Baxter runs for 102 touchdowns. I think you mean 102 yards. I'll go with 102 yards because you said 36 and 102 touchdowns, and I'm not great at math, but I'm assuming that's right. But thank you for listening, Right Guy from New Mexico. I appreciate the text. We also get one. Don't change to 4 to 6. What am I going to listen to on the ride home after 6? No, Texas. I'm sorry. We're getting a lot of positive. That's the first negative. I apologize. But we'll still, look, you can still hear us. We'll put the podcast up. We'll still be around. But yes, we're going 4 to 6. Matt in Round Rock. Smoked turkey, tamales, fudge, and pecan pie. Thanks for listening. And this texter says, WWE woof, joke of a conference, good riddance. It's not really. They're owned by TKO now. WWE's bought. It's just a giant corporate thing. They're going to try and sell a bunch of merch. The reality of it is they're going to try and sell a bunch of branded like wrestling / college merch. And that's what it is. So Big 12 schools will all be tied in with wrestlers, I'm sure, or something like that. That's the reality of what they're really trying to do. And then they're going to give them a belt to kind of announce that. Mr. Goodcat says 41-23 Texas. So there's some good stuff from you guys. I do want to get to some NFL talk as well. We do have a couple games coming up. Of course, Thursday, Commanders at Cowboys. Cowboys are 12.5-point favorites. Sam Howell, for the Commanders, this is what you can say at Thanksgiving if you want to give a stat of why the Cowboys should probably win this game handily. Sam Howell has been sacked for a league-high 51 times, and he's going up against this Dallas Cowboys defense with Micah Parsons. That, to me, leads to a recipe for disaster. He was sacked 5 times against the Giants, who can't do anything right. The Cowboys are going to run away with this. Their real schedule starts. They have 5 games starting next week that it becomes a little bit more difficult. We also get on Thursday the 49ers at the Seahawks. 49ers are 7.5-point favorites. Geno is hurt. He looks like he's going to play, but he's kind of banged up. Kenneth Walker is hurt. Other injuries. The 49ers, they're looking healthy, and the Seahawks are not. I have to give the 49ers the edge in that one. A Friday game for you. This game looked like it was going to be much better at the beginning of the season. The Dolphins are 9.5-point favorites at the Jets. Zach Wilson has been benched. Tim Boyle is the name of your Friday night starting quarterback for the New York Jets. So I would not expect big things. Maybe Tim Boyle's great. Maybe it was Zach Wilson's the worst quarterback in the history of all time. I don't think that's the case. I don't think he's great either. But I don't think he's the worst of all time, and Tim Boyle's great, and they'll go up and compete. I think the Dolphins turn around and get going against the Jets on a Friday night. We get to some Sunday games as well. The Browns at the Broncos, a fun game here. This is a Browns team without Deshaun Watson now that still look okay. This defense is really good. The Broncos have been turning it around. Broncos are actually favored by 1.5. Who saw that coming earlier in the season? This Broncos team is headed the right direction, but I still think this Browns defense is just too good. I have the Browns covering 1.5 and beating the Broncos. Chiefs, 8.5-point favorites at the Raiders. We've seen the Chiefs struggle to catch footballs. Now they got to go play the Raiders, who are playing much better football since they've got rid of the cancer known as Josh McDaniels. Gotta love getting rid of Josh McDaniels. Big fan of getting rid of Josh McDaniels. Would have told you to do that the day you hired him. But what do I know? The fun part about watching the Chiefs this year, they're a defensive team, and that's going to be a problem for the Raiders. I don't know if the Raiders have the players to go up. I don't know. I will take the Raiders, though, covering 8.5, but I do think the Chiefs come out pissed off after losing the game to the Eagles on Monday Night Football, and they do get a win against the Raiders. The Bills are playing at the Eagles. 3.5-point spread. Eagles are favored on the Bills. I think this is a no-brainer for the Eagles. The Bills are kind of struggling right now. They still have Josh Allen. They still play some good football, but I just don't see them going up against this Eagles team that has been playing out of their mind football and be able to get the win. Texter says Zach Wilson hasn't been benched. He has been shelved. They dropped him all the way to the 3rd string on the depth chart. Well, yeah, I mean, once he's benched, they're like, you're not coming in the game. You're done. We're calling Joe Flacco again. You've been benched for Tim Boyle. You've been benched for Joe Flacco. Something's clearly wrong here. Something is clearly wrong here. Do get a text here from my man, Chief Engineer. Before we get to the Texans game, the most important game of the week, Chief Engineer says, just want to say, I'm thankful for the horn. I know the past changes have been tough for everyone. As someone that works in the tech industry, companies get bought, sold, big contracts, lose contracts every day. Affects many people. I appreciate you guys did not fold and work hard to build it back up. We do not have a local sports outlet beside you all. Much love. I really do appreciate that. We are working hard. The ones that are still here, it's been a rough time. We're trying to get through it. But, guys like you that are still listening, everybody who's still listening, enjoying the text line, listening to the morning show with Hook 'em Up with Ian Rod B. You guys are the reason we keep doing it. We really do appreciate talking sports with you guys. It's just a load of fun. So thank you to you guys very much. And happy Thanksgiving to our junior cadet, Jacob Stander. Wisdom comes with age. It's okay. You are young. Love him on the show. It's like potty training my grandson to stand closer if you can't aim well. And look, Jacob, as we go into December, I think Jacob's going to be on the show a little bit more. He's available from doing his other stuff he does around the station. We're going to bring Jacob in more and more because I enjoy talking to him. We have a fun time when we're talking. So he'll be coming in more, and we'll, as football starts to wind down, we'll get into some other conversations and we'll have a good time. So we hope you enjoy all of that and we go with you. But I appreciate all that. And looking at the Raiders winning 4 of the last 6 games for a 9-7 finish, we could not win another game, and I'd still be incredibly happy. F you, Josh McDaniels. See ya, Patriots West. Very, very tough. Losing to the Chiefs twice, unfortunately, last year of that crap, hopefully. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on all that, Chief Engineer. We appreciate you listening. Finally, Jaguars, 2-point favorites at the Texans. Texans are 20-5 since 2010 against the Jaguars. I don't need stats, need predictions. I know the Jaguars are playing better. I know they're playing better. The Texans are going to win this game. Texans are going to take control of the AFC South. They're ahead of schedule, guys. They did it. AFC, the Patriots South. Nick Caserio showing he at least knows how to draft. I got the Texans covering and winning and beating Jacksonville at home. 20-5 since 2010. That's a crazy number. Texans have not been good in all that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get into some Texas Longhorn talk. We'll get into men's and women's basketball. They're both playing this weekend. We will get into some sound from Hook 'em Up with Ian Robbie, playing some Jerry Hamilton, one of the best recruiting covers and reporters that are around in the country, and it's very lucky to have him call into the Horn. So we'll be going into that as well here on the Sports Complex, here on the Horn, 101.9 AM 1260, the Horn app, and at hornfm.com.